Mm. Hey, there we go. Hello, family. Hello. 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 We are back again. It is another Saturday afternoon at 6 p.m. And here we are again on Black and Married with Kids, just to sit a spell and talk to you guys. My name is Barbara Milburn.
And I'm Joe Milburn.
And together we make
Team
Milburn.
Milburn.
And we are here just to chat with you just a little while today on how we handle stress without turning on each other. How do we handle stress without turning on each other? So come on in the room, come on in the room, come on in the room. If you were here last week, I gave y'all some little tidbits on social media etiquette. And I said that my grandmother taught me that whenever you enter a room, you say hello. And since you had entered our room to sit down and have a conversation with us for a little while, say hello. I used to go to a church one time, and the pastor used to say when somebody came down the aisle to be saved, take his shoes off and sit a spell. And one day the guy really took his shoes off, and we just talked. We thought that was just so funny. So come on in the room, come on in the room, come on in the room. Tag a sister, tag a brother, share your page. You know what to do. Lillian, if you out there, Lillian is always on her job. There she is. Good afternoon, my sister. That is my BFF. She always got my back. I call her my Erin because when I get tired, she holds up my arms and she calls me Jonathan because she say I always got her back. So come on in, tag a neighbor, tag a friend. But before we get started, I do want to take a little bit of time to pay homage to Dr. Dunamis D, my pastor, my mentor, my spiritual mom, my leader, my mama, my everything. Her and her beautiful daughter, Ariel Fuller, who are the co-owner and co-owner of Black and Married with Kids, because they are in a position where they can allow us to be here for a little bit of time. All we have to do is show up. And that is such a privilege because everybody doesn't get this privilege. And while we're talking about Ariel, shout out to Ariel for for winning that competition today. She had a competition where you had to use your oratory skills, and she is like so good at that. And it was a competition that she won. And because of her winning that competition, she will be awarded a certain sum of money that will go towards the business, the ministry, I should say, because we don't call Dunamis a business, the ministry, where we can have more funds to heal the hearts of men and women all across the globe. And that is just like so exciting. So kudos, Ariel. If you're out there, put some congratulations in the comments. Tell her that we love her. Tell her that we're so proud of her. Tell her that she did an amazing job. And I knew that she did because we had class this morning, and Mama D told us that Ariel was going to be on at a certain time. And you know, we started making our comments. And I said straight off the bat, it's already done because God don't make mistakes, and He sure enough be on our side. So
Hallelujah. Yes. Yes.
come on in the room. We again are going to talk about how we handle stress without turning on each other. You know, when you think about stress, at least for me, I kind of get all antsy on the inside. I don't know how else to explain it. It's almost like when somebody has said something that irritates you, and it don't even have to really be your spouse. We just happen to be married for a long time, so we're talking about married couples. But this same scenario can play with anybody. You know, in your gut when you're starting to get irritated, we tense up. I'm gonna speak for myself. I tense up. My mind starts to accelerate. I think I probably have already stopped thinking about what the person said. That first thing that was the dig, the thing that triggered me, my mind is on that. I don't know what else they said behind it. And there was a time in my life that I would react to that feeling. I might cuss. I might walk away. There was a time in my life when I might even hit you. Throw something at you.
Mm.
Throw a plate. My mama was good at throwing dishes. I learned how to duck. Ah, but now, praise be to God,
Amen.
because I have gotten older. I have acquired some wisdom from my experiences and from the faithful teaching that we receive in Dunamis from Dr. D, Ariel, the power team. I have learned different things to do instead of reacting. Sometimes I'm just silent.
Mhm.
I just sit there for a minute and get my thoughts together. And I know for me, first off, my first response is not usually a good one. I say that I'm not quick witted,
Mm.
but I don't know if that's the right term. It's just that usually the first thing that comes up or to my mind didn't come from God. It came from the enemy because he knows where you're weak. He knows when he can jump in, and he always has something ready because you have to remember that no matter how old you are, he's ancient.
Yes.
He's been here for a long time. He knows your patterns. He knows your history. And not only does he know your history, he knows your mama's history and her history before that. And he's going to use any of those that he can to get under your crawl, is what I use, to get you to strike back at the first person who struck out at you. I say that's when the fruit of the Spirit comes in. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering. Long suffering means sometimes you have to toughen up. You have to not be so thin
Mhm.
skinned. You have to not get immediately offended at what the person said, because sometimes what they said and how you perceived it are two different things.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Do you guys feel me? And if you've been married or in a relationship for any length of time, you know the stress is going to come every day. There's not a day that stress is not going to enter the situation. And life has a way of bringing challenges to test our patience, to test
Mhm.
our communication skills,
Mhm.
to test our kindness. Stress can come from finances, it can come from health issues, it can come from family issues, caregiving responsibilities. How many of us have to care for our older parent? I had to care for my son before he passed away. It was always stress. There was an appointment that got missed, one that we were supposed to be at and we hadn't gotten there. And then that we didn't get there, and then that pushes us further behind when the treatment needs to be at such and such time, not 4 or 5 weeks later. Sometimes it's just dealing with your busy schedules. If we are both retired, but when we were working, we had really busy schedules. I used to say sometimes, and this is true, is not something that I just said. We used to write each other notes in order to communicate because I worked one shift, he worked another shift. When I would get off from work and come home, he would already be gone.
Mhm.
When he would come home at night, it would be the middle of the night. I would already be asleep. When I get up the next morning to go to work, now he's asleep. So it wasn't that we were avoiding each other or anything like that, but things could slip through the cracks because we didn't talk. We didn't have enough time to really sit down and talk. We kept leaving each other notes. And to me, leaving notes a lot of time, even though you can be a little more detailed, it's still, if something gets lost. I
Mhm.
say that in text messages all the time. Sometimes you can text somebody and all of a sudden they done caught an attitude and you thinking, well, what did I say? And whatever you said just didn't come across in the way that you meant it. You meant something good, hopefully, when you sent it, but what they perceived was something totally opposite. So if you guys are out there and you kind of understand what I'm talking about, drop it in the chat. What things you find are stressors, stress wars,
Mhm.
that rattle your cage, that get under your craw, that immediately get you angry, that make you want to fight, cuss, whatever it is that you do. What kinds of things are those? Um, and Joe, what do you think? How do men think about this?
Stress. I'm speaking from men, but I'm speaking about myself.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times when stress come upon me, I get sour. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because it comes suddenly, and you really don't know how to react right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I get silent. I do my three P's. You know, I pause, pray, and then I proceed.
We added one last week. You remember what it was?
And
I think it was process.
process.
Okay.
Yes, but I'll do that. But stress comes at any time and any form. It's health challenges. As you grow older, the body changes, and then you have a problem with the blood pressure. You have a problem with
Mm-hmm.
high cholesterol
Mm-hmm.
because of the good eating. And you have problems with diabetes.
Yeah.
And among other things in the body that you have problems with, and that's stress, and it stresses you out, and you really don't want to bring it to your mate,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So even though I am stressing, I'll tell you I'm fine, and I know, but I'm not. But I just don't want you to be stressed out
Right.
because I feel as I want you to be my balancer. You know what I mean? When
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through it, I get too deep in my stress. You is there to talk me out of it, talk me through it. You
I
understand what
do.
I'm saying?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it come from finances. When you are uh handling your bills, then all of a sudden a situation come up.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, you put money aside for emergencies, but this emergency is a little bigger than yes. And there's an abundance of stress.
Okay.
By me being a man, a provider,
Mm-hmm.
I take on that whole burden on myself.
Right.
And a lot of times it might be overwhelming,
Yeah.
and then I uh, get in my feelings and you say something to me, and then I lash out at you,
Mm-hmm.
which is the wrong thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we should be able to talk about it and sit on one side of the table and say, we are not against each other, we're against the problem.
Right.
So that's the way we need to handle our stress,
Mm-hmm.
but all the times it don't happen that way.
Right. The thing is that just when we are talking about how to handle your stress without turning on each other, and just like Joe said, um, a lot of times the easiest person to take your anxiety out on is the person that's close to you. It's usually your mate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a mate, then your child
Mm-hmm.
or whoever is your housemate, whether that be a relationship with another person, husband, spouse, whatever, or your child.
Mm-hmm.
Dog. People have kicked their dogs because they're frustrated at the time. And they may come home in a bad mood. And dogs and puppies, they don't get that. They're always tails little wagging, anxious to see you. You come in the door and they jumping all over you, and you're in a bad mood. I have heard people say, "Oh, I feel so bad. I kicked the dog," but you didn't mean it. It wasn't something that you wanted to do. It was just that you allow the enemy to get a hold of your emotions, and then when your emotions turned a different way, then you reacted on that emotion, and it wasn't that you meant to hurt or maim or do any that you didn't really mean it. A lot of times I always say when you get angry, just shut up, because once those words come out of your mouth, you can't take them back. And you can say apology, I'm sorry all day long, but it's still on the person's mind that you said it to. And for me, I can only speak to myself. Whenever that has happened to me, it's on my mind too, because I know that that's not my character.
Mhm.
I know that I have a little more integrity than that, or I have grown to have a little more integrity than that. Because if you know anything about our relationship, if you followed my podcast on YouTube last week, I told you I was the one with the ice pick. I was gonna put some holes in some people's tires because they did some things that I didn't like. I didn't approve of it, and I didn't know then that the battle is not mine, it belongs to the Lord. I thought I could fix everything. I thought I could do everything. And I thought that the retaliation was what you were supposed to do. You get me? I'm going to get you back. And I'm going to get you back worse than you got me.
Mhm.
But that's not God. That's the enemy. And the enemy will take your feelings and your emotions, and he's going to manipulate them,
Mhm.
and he's going to use them for his benefit, because what he wants you to do is to act a fool so that they can say, oh, look at her.
Mhm.
I thought she was a Christian. I thought she was this. I thought she was that. So now, on top of that anxiety from the stress, now you got the shame, in a sense, of what you're feeling, because your reaction did not match who you really are.
Mhm.
Satan took advantage of you. So, is anybody talking in the chat? Let's see. Lillian said not taking out the trash or completing jobs they promised to get done, and weeks later it's still not done. One of my pet peeves too, Lillian. But you know what? Remember, and I don't know, because this goes back a really long way. Mama D taught a lesson one time about how us as females, sometimes we will ask our mate to do something, and what she was talking about was a desk, if I'm not mistaken. And you think a desk, whole bunch of pieces. For me, that would be complicated. So I'm not one who's going to tackle it and try to put it together. But there are some women who will and can.
Mhm.
This particular young lady could do the job, but she had asked her spouse to do it. And she was tired of doing it. Mama D said, if you touch air screw on that desk, I'm gonna whip you. And she was only kidding about the whipping part, but she was trying to teach her a lesson, because sometimes we get so impatient, and what we want it now. I want it right now. And in our mind, even though we're not saying that, every time we look at that desk or the trash or whatever that's still not out, it's like the more we look at it undone, the angrier we get. And so we have to learn how to govern our mind and say, I don't give a darn if he don't ever take it out, and go on upstairs and stop, what's the word, nagging them about it. And if you stop nagging them about it, guess what? Then they go do it. I don't know why that works, but it does. I gave that advice to my daughter-in-law one time. She called me back like a week later. She's like, Mom, it worked. I was like, see, I told you. Stop every day when he come home. Do not say, don't nobody want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. So why would you do that to your mate? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So is anybody else? What else is going on there? I see Alexandra, she's in there today. I didn't expect a lot of people because it's beautiful outside. It's a holiday weekend.
Mhm.
People are still celebrating Juneteenth. And for those of you who are not connected to my Facebook page, we're still celebrating my husband's birthday, even though he doesn't like to acknowledge it. Happy birthday, baby.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you.
So it's a busy weekend.
Mhm.
You know, folk got a lot to do. I think we have a tough schedule, if you will, because Saturday is a day that you got a lot of stuff doing, and we, I have to say, and Joe probably says I try extra hard, and I try really hard not to say I can't be here.
Mhm.
I will rearrange my whole schedule just to be here,
Mhm.
because I feel like if Pastor D gave us this assignment, then I should take it seriously. And if I'm going to take it seriously, then I should be here as often as possible, and not uh, use small things to take me away from it. So I will really go all out of my way, our way,
Mhm.
to make sure that we are back here in this house at 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
Now I know everybody else don't think that way. Y'all ain't got the job. It's my task. It's not yours. But your task is the watch. Your task is to watch. And so when you can't be here live, Get that because you got lies. But when you come in, do the replay and put replay in the comments so that we know that you have been here. Don't sneak in the room and sneak back out. Don't say hello.
Facebook
That's
etiquette.
poor social media etiquette. When you enter the room, you say hello. And when we're here, you're in our room. You're in my prayer room. This is where I am every week, just about. Sometimes we switch up and do someplace different, but most of the time we're in my prayer room. This is where I come early in the morning when I talk to the Lord. This is where we come early in the morning when we study God's word.
Mhm.
So when we invite you into our room, that's something special. We don't invite everybody in. So Joe, what do you got to say?
And again, welcome, since she's saying inviting everybody in, welcome again. But, I was just going to go through some of the stress relievers for your spouse. You know, like, like when you have something on your mind, you, a lot of times it helps just to listen
Mm-hmm.
for you to get it off your mind, not for me to jump right in to try to solve it or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, repair it. No, you just want to listen,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe down the road a little, we might come to agreement now. How can we solve this?
Right. Right.
But at least let you get it off of your mind where you won't be so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a reliever, you know.
And Joe is absolutely right about a lot of times, and I'm going to speak for myself because I can't speak for all women. A lot of times, you just need to get it off your chest. Really, it's get it off of your mind
Mm-hmm.
because as long as it's inside and you haven't expressed it, it's going round and round and round like
Mm-hmm.
like a puppy chasing his tail. And every time it goes around, when it comes back, it's a little bigger than it was before because you added a couple more things to it. And you go around and it gets bigger. But if you speak it out
Mm-hmm.
and let somebody hear what you have said, then you have an opportunity to listen. And once you listen, a lot of times you can figure out what the answer to it is
Mm-hmm.
by yourself. But by you hearing yourself speak it,
Mm-hmm.
it helps you to communicate what's really going on in your head. And then when you can do that successfully, then a lot of times the Holy Spirit will give you
Yes.
the answer to whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
that you are battling with at that particular time. And I want to say this too. A lot of times it's us, not the problem,
Mm-hmm.
not me against Joe, not Joe against me, because we're a team. As long as we are together, we're always going to be a team. And so the goal is to have a unified belief, in a sense, that we're trying to come to and agree with it. Now, sometimes we don't always agree with what the other thinks, and that's natural. In fact, Mama D said something, Apostle D said something in class this morning that I never really thought about. She says, when you share your thought with somebody, they either grasp it or they don't. That's like planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
You plant the seed, somebody else gonna come and water it. A lot of times God will send the person to water it. But you planted the seed. When you come back to that same person and that same topic, don't hound them over and over and over again, because that's like trying to control their mind. That's like, well, I gave you this idea and you're gonna use my idea whether you like it or not. That's not God.
Mm-hmm.
God gives us free will. If he can give us the opportunity to make a choice, why we can't give each other an opportunity to make a choice? Think about that for a minute. That's kind of deep.
Mm-hmm.
If God, the Almighty, the Creator, who made heaven and earth and us, can give us free will to make our own choices and our own decisions, who is anybody else what gives anybody else the right to tell us what we can and can't do?
Right. Right. Because he gave us that decision. He gave us, you can make your own choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though whichever choice we make, he's
Mm-hmm.
going to stand beside us.
Beside us.
You know,
It,
he's going to be right there.
right there. Even if we fall, like with the kids, when you're teaching them how to walk
Mhm.
and they fall, sometimes if you leave them alone and they fall and they hurt their little selves, they're going to get up and try it again. But if you right there every minute, oh baby, don't cry and let mama kiss it, it's gonna take them longer to walk than if you leave them alone and let them figure out how to do it on their own.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we are God's children, and sure we're gonna mess up, we're gonna bump our head, we're gonna get it wrong, but because of who He is in us, and because of the authority that He gives us, that exousia authority that we
Yes.
talked about this morning,
Morning.
we know who we are, we walk in that authority, and we make the choice that we believe God told us. And then we move forward. If Joe doesn't like my choice, I'm like, baby, I'm sorry. I don't want to fight with you no more.
Mhm.
I'll tell you a good example. I just thought about this while I was talking. This was the first time that when I went to Egypt. Egypt is someplace I have always wanted to go. I don't know. I had this thing in my mind about Moses and Red Sea and the Israelites, and to me that was just so powerful.
Mhm.
And when I found out Pastor D and them was going to Egypt, I was so pumped up. And Joe was downstairs. I was up here listening to the informational thing because he didn't want to listen. I think he was doing something else or had something else to do. But I went running down the steps, and I was like, "Baby, baby, Pastor D going to Egypt." And he looks at me, he said, I ain't going to Africa. And I started laughing, but he was serious. But the way he said it, it hurt my feelings. And so I came on back up the steps and I ain't say nothing. I I went on ahead and signed up, but I didn't tell him that I signed up.
Mhm.
A couple days later, I asked him about it again, and he still hadn't changed his mind. And I was like, baby, you know what? I love you to death. This was maybe 4 years after we had really gotten back together. We hadn't remarried at that point because it was before we remarried. And I said, you know, I love you. I said, but there are so many things that I want to see. And it would be like the epitome of everything if you would be with me when I see these things. But if you don't want to, then I'm going to have to go without you because I can't let you hold me back, especially if I feel like God is nudging me. So sometimes when God is nudging you to do a certain thing and the other person doesn't feel the way you feel,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to go ahead and trust that God is not going to cause friction between you and that person because you're doing what you feel like the Lord is telling you to do. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. You're making great sense, you know, because all the time we don't line up together for these trips and everything,
Yeah.
you know, and so I know that you felt as though God had dropped that in your
Mm-hmm.
spirit
Mm-hmm.
to go, you know, but I'm just saying, He didn't drop it in my spirit.
I understand.
So I'm just answering off of my feelings and, you know, my way of
Right.
thinking, you know, but I didn't want to hold you back,
Right.
you know, so I just let you go, you know, you go.
And you know what I did about it? I prayed about it.
Hmm.
And guess what? This year I'm going back to Ghana and he going with me. Yeah, God.
Yes. Hmm.
But you know, sometimes we focus on the problem instead of focusing on winning. We want to win. We're a team.
Hmm.
We don't want to hurt each other.
Right.
We don't want to pull each other back.
Right.
We want to do, first of all, what God says,
Yes.
and then the best we can not to hurt or hinder our partner. So sometimes we have to put aside our pride.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to put aside our hurt feelings. We have to lick our little wounds and come on back because you don't have to win every battle.
No, you don't.
Some battles just ain't meant to be fought. Some of them ain't even worth being for.
Right. Some of them just for experience,
Yeah.
going through something. This, you know what you're doing as you go through it because you have already been through it. That way you can witness to someone else
Yes.
that's going through it,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And look, guys, the clock says 6:31. As always, we always run out of time. Couple things I didn't say. I didn't do my ones and my zeros like I normally do. So any of you who are still with me who are newbies, if you've never seen either one of us before, you don't know who Joe and I am, this is your first time listening to us, please put a zero, I'm sorry, a one in the chat so that we know this is your first time. My regulars, I kind of know who you are, but if you want to comment, then I don't have any problem with that. Put a zero in the chat because that means you are our heroes
Yes.
because you show up back here every Saturday, rain or shine, snow, sleet, rain. Y'all are there. Y'all are treasure y'all to the
Yes.
utmost.
And we thank you.
We thank you because if it was not for
Yes.
you, it would be no us.
Right.
And then I also want to give you a brief wind up about our team of presenters that come every week. Um, on Sunday,
Yes.
I got it right. The first day of the week on Sunday, we have Porta J. She
Mhm.
comes on at 6 p.m. Her time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Her topic is praying wives. And Quetta is a praying wife. Let me tell you, she knows some prayers. She done prayed some prayers. She done seen some manifestations in her prayers. And the one thing that we are never really taught is that we need to pray for our men. If that's your mate, whether you married to him or not, you love him, he love you. If you don't pray for him, who will? So think about that. I ain't praying for that man. If you don't, who will? God assigned him to you. He attached him to you. You need to pray for him. Even if you're mad with him, you still need to pray. Ask God to intervene in whatever that situation is and make it right. And if you really feel that your mate is wrong, you ask the Holy Spirit to bring it to his recognition. And trust me, he will. But he gonna bring it to you if you're wrong too. So be ready. And then on Mondays, we got Dr. G. She comes at 12 noon with her mom's moment, where she has a chance to talk to moms who are sometimes home all day long and don't have no adult people to really talk to. And noontime, they just like, oh, I just really want to have an adult. She has tips, breathing tips, relaxation tips, tips on how to maximize the moment to get the most out of your day without working yourself. She has some great ideas. And then at 7 p.m., we have the Bookers, Kevin and Maisha. Yay, Kevin and Maisha. They talk about infidelity and they talk about it with poise. They talk about it with certainty because they've been through it. And by the grace of God, they survived because the enemy thought he had them, but God said, oh no, that's not going to happen because God loves marriages. The enemy wants to break them apart. And when the enemy tried to tear them apart, no said, no, not my children, go mess with somebody else because you can't have them. Did it work out perfectly in the beginning? No. They had to go through some stuff. They had to go through some struggles. They had to go through some processes, but they made it on the other end and they are closer now than they had ever been. And then on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., we have the Whitfields. Pastors Gail and Stan Whitfield, two strong pastors who come to you with faith in marriage. They're going to give you a word from the Lord. It's going to come from the book. They're going to show you where it comes from the book, and they're going to show you how we have been taught, the most of us, that marriage is a contract when marriage is a covenant. And the covenant is between you, your spouse, and Christ. And if Christ ain't in it, you need to check somebody and find out why he ain't in it and find a way to get him in it sooner rather than later. And then Thursday, we have the Whites, Lisa White and Dr. Garrett White. They come and they talk about communication. And they have some tough topics as well. I applaud them because no matter what the topic is, they are not willing to avoid it. They are willing to just push in and jump in on it and do the best that she can. So then that brings you back to us on Saturday at 6 p.m. And we are here every Saturday until God says no. And we hope that you will keep coming back. And I want to shout out one more person. Her name is Natasha Carmen, Carmon. I believe Natasha was a newbie on last week, but she said that we were her favorite couple already and she don't even know us. So Natasha, we appreciate you. We did recognize that you were there. Both Joe and I responded to your comment. If you're not here today and I have not seen your name come up, hey Demeter, please make sure that you come back next week. And if you come a little later on, don't forget, replay and say hello. So Joe, you got anything else to do? Because I want to close with something special.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Hmm.
So this is to Joe and every father that is out there. Now, sisters, don't get it twisted because I have heard some sisters on Father Day give the speech about, well, I raised him by myself and the man wasn't there. Don't do that. You had your day.
Hmm.
Let the man have his day. No matter what he did or didn't do, he is still a soul. He is still a son of Christ, and we should treat him as such. So, to all the fathers, whether a father is sitting at the head of the dinner table tonight or calling from 1,000 miles away, the core mission remains the same: to provide a blueprint of integrity, of strength, and of love. Fatherhood is about the legacy that we leave in the character of the next generation. It's not for us, it's for the next generation. It's about teaching a young person how to stand tall, how to treat others with respect, and how to walk through this world with courage and purpose. A father is neither an anchor to hold us back nor a sail to take us there, but he is a guiding light whose love shows us the way. So, to every man who has stepped up to guide, to protect, to sacrifice, and to love, whether in the home or from afar, we see you, we appreciate you, we honor you, and happy Father's Day. With that being said, as Maisha and Booker always says, what we forget?
Please share that with your male mates.
Yes, please do.
Please.
Please share it on your page.
Yes.
Ask them to come back and listen to the last end of the podcast. They don't have to listen to the whole thing, but as many men as possible need to hear just how valuable they are. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let it go. I was in my grief meeting today, and what one of the males said, I'm trying how to say this without revealing who the person was. This is what one of the men said. Sometimes you women beat up on us so bad that we want to hang our head in shame. And I told him, don't ever believe that. Because just because one woman may have said that to you, that's not all of us. And besides that, you know who you are. No matter what you did or did not do as a father, you did the best you could. You do all that you know how. And if that was not good enough for somebody else, then you and that somebody else need to pray about it and pray about it together. Together, whatever that is. Talk to the Lord. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing is a coincidence. That's how I feel. I believe that the good Lord lets everything happen for a purpose. Even our pain is for a purpose. We don't see it as that, but it's for a purpose. If you want to know about healing, then you need to join us with Dunamis Woman. Our conference is coming up in July 23rd through the 26th.